So it had to be done. Futties Mainoo with a Futties. It's an SBC that personally for Man U players, you are going to have to actually complete. 97 rated. He's got himself the 4 playstyle pluses, so there's still a little bit of room for him to grow. I'm still waiting for a lot of 5 playstyle pluses players, and even then Evos with 5 playstyle pluses. That's going to be the hardest part with a lot of them, but he's got Anticipate, Intercept, Press Proven and Tiki Taka. He's most definitely an incredible midfielder. The question is, does he fit into your lineup? Now, in terms of what he offers, the 5-star, fantastic. 5'11", controlled work rate as we know, CDM or centre mid, 2 different positions. We then obviously have the attributes which in general is always going to be fantastic across the board anyway. Every player has got this level. Great composure on him though, just as a standout, a stat that you cannot actually get up with a chem style. More than likely will go into the basics more so than anything with a chem style, I reckon. And then in terms of play styles, we've got a solid amount across the board, which I like. We've got 2 defensive playstyle pluses, which are considered the better ones. Press Proven, which is always nice. Tiki Taka, again, it's not a bad one. Would always like the pinged passive possible, and I'm not too fussed about shooting styles for him, just because in general I kind of see him as a more defensive mid, somebody that's not necessarily going into the final third or doesn't have the pressure to be in that final third. Roles wise, we've obviously got the plus across the board, and when you do look at him at 130k, more than likely anchor, basic, across the board is always nice. Go with the anchor, goes controlled lengthy, which is always fantastic, and will fit into that defensive role pretty well, to be honest. So let's jump into some game. I'm interested to see what his style's all about. We've had evolutions of him. Let's see what his SBC's like. What's hilarious is I actually was doing his Evo, so that one's pretty much now put in the bin. We'll upgrade him to the big one. So let's have a look. I'm going to keep basic on him. I think he's going to be much better in that aspect if we want to get anything here. Let's go into the DM, and at least he can play in that defensive role, which is what I personally like from him. So he's going to fit nicely. Let's see what he can do. So if you're looking for coins, check in the description for El Dorado. Depending on the coin amount that you're looking for, the delivery time is displayed on the website, and you'll see lots of different trusted sellers with reviews on specifics and also the ability to be able to pick who you want. It will also show how much they have in stock, and obviously you can see that they are verified members. There is 100% refund ability and also 24/7 support if you need any questions with your coin needs. Also, if you head over to Trustpilot as well, you can see over 30,000 upvotes for them. You can see how reliable they are. Obviously great feedback across the entire board with El Dorado. So when on checkout, make sure you are using the code JT11 for 5% off your order every time. Discount code JT11. Now let's get back to the video. Right then, I don't know why I kind of expected him to be that little bit taller, but it kind of works in terms of his height. He's going to be almost the Hullet without the height. I kind of want him to run forward if he can. Little tiki-taka through. Little 1-2 again. Pings it back to him. Little stop off over to Ham. And was offside. Now, obviously, when it comes to it, I think in terms of a player, he's going to be standard. Like, if we put him in the pool of everybody else, he's not necessarily crazy special. Like, he's got some nice abilities, but realistically, if you pick like a 99 Hullet, a 98 Vieira, evolutions, left, right, and centre, there's very few people that he's going to necessarily overtake just in an instance of kind of how good he is. But I do think in general, he's not a bad cheap option. You kind of really offering him depending on like someone like a Declan Rice Futties. Like you could overtake him there potentially, but even then, if you're building an Arsenal team, you're kind of already stuck in the way with that one. So it is always interesting to see what they can truly offer. And I do think for Mainoo specifically, if you are building either an English team or potentially a Man U team, you're kind of then waiting for that future Evo for him. Something with a 5 playstyle plus. That would be the kind of next level. And again, he's going to have a whole list of players that will be waiting with him. But it's always an interesting one to see because obviously you've got to wait for that, and there's so many Futties that are waiting for that 5th playstyle plus, or at least the upgrade. We've got no 99 evolutions or SBCs yet. That will eventually come. We've got a month left in the game, so lots and lots of chance to be able to get them up, and with the amount of evolutions that we've had, that is probably coming in due course, to be honest. Now, a couple of things I do like about this card. Obviously, the Anticipate is always a fan favourite when it comes to centre-backs, when it comes to defensive mids. And personally, for me, as a CDM goes, the Intercept is very, very vital to a success in that sort of role. Throwing everything else, obviously, the Press Proven is a nice added bonus. And then, obviously, having the Tiki-Taka, it's not a bad playstyle plus. I don't think it's the most kind of wanted in terms of passing, but it's most definitely not a waste of one. Like, it's not having like a long ball throw effect. It's one that you can definitely use. I do think the pinged pass is considered the better one, in my opinion, which is it's an obvious one. And whether you'd want something like that on him instead, if you're going to throw a fifth playstyle plus on him, which one would you go for? I think going for a pinged pass or an incisive isn't a bad option to say the least. Find CR7, and we go back to Mainoo. Looks for the rocket. Great finish. Whether you want a finisher, it could be more of a box-to-box. I think most CDMs now have the ability in terms of stats to be strikers, centre mids, cams, whatever you want them to be. They'll have the obvious roll pluses unless you put them into an Evo. That's going to be a goal. Great shot. So I do think he's got multiple avenues that he can go down. He's not just pigeonholed into that CDM. And really, even if you don't like him at this point, I think for the fact that he's only 130k, he's a very inexpensive mistake if you really wanted to try him out and you turn out that you don't really like him that much. So it's kind of one of them that I do think has got no real flaws on him. And dribbling wise, seems okay. He's not the best dribbler in the world. Like he was never going to be the most insane dribbler, but he's most definitely got a little bit about it. That's a great ball. Lovely little 1-2s if he can. Look back for him if he can. Little 1-2 on the inside. Follow him through. Look for the fake. Oh, and CR7 taken away. Oh, he's found the spot. Honestly, didn't even know he was in the middle. Hullet finds him. Mainoo strikes. It's a great finish again. And he's going to find himself through once more. Looks for the fake. Can he go near post? He's really held on to that. Now, it is hard to kind of criticize too much when it comes to these players. As realistically, they are cheap. They're affordable. You can obviously get them done for literally no coins. So there's not really a downside. You could even throw them into a fodder option if you really wanted to. Say you don't particularly like him. He's not bad to have. He's just another player to add to the arsenal of players. Didn't see the keeper coming out. So it's kind of like a win-win in any scenario. You either get quite a nice player, you either get somebody that's just going to kind of go into the club and not do too much, or you can just utilize them in fodder options later on down the line, and slash Evo if you really wanted to. So he's most definitely got a lot of upside to him, and in terms of downside, I don't think there's really many in terms of the card. Like, he's pretty standard across the board. He's got himself a nice tackle, good playstyle pluses, 5-star, 5-star. Everything moves in the right direction for him. Kind of like Rice. Rice was fantastic across the board, just was a little bit static, tried to go up a little bit too much where he isn't quite a Mainoo who is kind of got that little bit of dribbling still in him, which is always nice. So he was kind of more of your stay back defender, whereas you kind of now at this point don't really, it's very attacking football more than anything, and I found that across the board. Maybe at the top of the top, it's less and less, like you obviously still got to play in a very defensive and attacking manner, whereas most now, if you go further down into the rivals, into the FUT champs, a lot of it's just attacking. Everybody's got the most amount of attackers, cams, strikers as they can get into the team, so it works really well for a player like this, where they don't really have to sit in a specific role constantly, and they can have that freedom to kind of push up and play that little bit differently. There's a Yamal, look for the finesse, and a beautiful barring in. Great challenges, exactly why I just love intercept on cards like these. Back into Yamal, kind of. CR7, Yamal, look for the carbon copy! Good intercept. Ooh, Ham losing it out here. Gets it back again with the lovely intercept. Hullet losing it again. Can we get it back once more with Mainoo? Good interception. Flicks off to Mbappe. It's got a lovely pass on him. It's just very weighted across the board and good challenge. It was last ditch to say the least. Mainoo's, oh, he's going the other way. Okay, I didn't think he'd go that way. Left foot across goal. If he gets onto the end, oh, that'd have been an unbelievable ball. So going into the overall, like we suggested, very cheap, affordable, great card, and obviously he's going to fit many different types of teams if you are just now collecting, because realistically, if we look at kind of CDM, centre mids, there's so many that you can't really compare him to the absolute top of the top. So there's already so many good players that you can throw in that position. You throw in an Evo Hullet, an Evo Vieira, obviously multiple Vieiras as well. You could even then go further down an Evo Yaya Toure, Caicedo's new 98, which is just outrageously good. Then you throw in a few more. Matuidi has had a solid card, and now into Evos as well. And then you go more your centre mid, your João Neves, your Vitinhas, throwing in them sort of players. He fits between both of them, but he's not necessarily like top 5 in either. He's just a cheap, affordable card that can get the job done. And I think that's really what we're going for now. It's not necessarily that he's number 1 in the list. He's just a cheap card you can throw in as an SBC, and he works decently well. And also, if you wanted to put him into the the Evo Elites Cup as the English player, if you've obviously got 8 Evos already in there, you can obviously have him as another English midfielder that does strengthen the team up quite well. So I do think he's a solid purchase if you want to do his SBC. May not give you top 2%, but he gives you a very good level that really is good for the price that you're paying. So let me know down below what you think about Mainoo, if you're going to complete him, or are you done with the game. Make sure you like and subscribe on this, and I'll see you for the evolution.